if you're black and you're in trouble, he says every black person should have a white friend. Okay. And he said you got to have a white friend. And he tells this story about a guy getting picked up by the cops, on the street at night or something, like at 2 or 3 in the morning, and he calls his black friends up, and they're saying, "Who is this?" The person on the other line, "Who is it? What you doing calling me here at this time?" I'm like, bleep, bleep, bleep. What do you know? And click and hang up, and he calls some white lady by accident. Yes, who is this? Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. I dialed by accident. Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. And what's your problem? Oh, ma'am, I'm here by the police, and I've been picked up, and I can't get anybody. Really? Well, let me speak to the officer.
Oh, Eddie, I want to know.
And this white lady starts getting on the officer. Sir, you better treat this man with respect, you know? And the white person that doesn't even know him basically takes more time to get this guy. He said, and then he put him back on the phone and said, "Listen, if they give you any trouble, you have my number. Call me back."
Eddie, am I on this podcast because I'm white?
Yeah, you're the token. You're the token honky. You're the token honky.
I'm the guy who picked up the phone when you called.
Yeah, right, exactly. You're the guy.
Believe the lie, so everything that I know says I gotta go, tired of going solo. But I'm never gonna go there again. This is what it is. This is who I am. This is where I finally take my stand. I didn't want to fall, but I don't have to grow.
It's always something. It's always something, right?
Yeah.
All right. This. Okay.
After about 6 months with this board, you'll know everything.
It's only been about a year.
He got it.
Says I gotta go, tired of going solo. But I'm never gonna go there again. This is what it is. This is who I am. This is where I finally take my stand. I didn't want to fall, but I don't have to grow. I'm not the one with 2-star hands, giving him the best of everything that's left of the life inside this man. I've been born again.
Good morning, everyone. Eddie Huff.
Yeah,
David Van Risingham. Or David Van, I'm sorry. One of these days. As you said, after 6 months, I should get it. Oh, wait a minute. It's only been a year about, right? Oh, man. Hey, everybody. We're good and glad to see you once again in these tumultuous times in the nation of the United States of America.
Yeah.
Oh, my. Hey, let's just jump right into this other stuff, and then we'll get into the real news of the day. Dave, have you heard there's a new version of Omicron around?
Oh,
man.
really? You mean of COVID?
Yeah, COVID,
right?
But also Omicron.
Oh,
yeah. There's not just
so the variant has a variant.
Yeah, it's getting like Shrek. It's got layers, layers and layers. Yeah, there's an Omicron BA.2.
Oh yeah,
it's a subvariant.
Oh,
a subvariant because Omicron is a variant.
Yes.
Now we have a subvariant.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. This is just too funny.
Yeah.
People are having fun with this, aren't they?
Yeah.
But according to the New York State Health Department, they have data that suggests that we have a new subvariant called BA.2, and it's doubling in proportion statewide every 2 weeks. And it represents about 1 in 10 sequenced cases, whatever that means, whatever that 1 in 10 sequenced cases. So I don't know what a sequenced case is, but 1 in 10 of those. But anyway, between February 27th and March 5th of 2022, CDC's program for HHS Region 2, New York, New Jersey, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, estimated 100% of samples were of this Omicron variant compared to 100% the previous week. During this time period, 82.7% of Omicron sequences were of the lineage 1.1 0.529. Okay, now we're starting to get in the weeds here. This is crazy. Let's see. This comes as COVID-19 cases have fallen in the Big Apple and around the nation since the winter surge. COVID-19 risk is considered low in most New York State and city. Gotham Mist has reported that city wastewater surveillance is revealing an increase in coronavirus readings over the recent weeks. So just as you think corona has gone, it's rearing its ugly head once again, and BA.2 nicknamed the stealth variant.
Or could it be that health department officials are having withdrawal symptoms and just have to find some relevance?
I think it's the education department just doesn't want to get rid of those masks on those little children is probably what it is. Yeah. But it's about 30% more contagious than BA.1. I didn't even know there was a BA.1, but apparently there's a BA.1. But this is the stealth variant. The sublineage has been found to have a higher growth rate compared to BA.1. Throughout the World Health Organization reported last week that BA.1.1 remains prominent. So I guess BA.1.1 is the original Omicron variant. That's what I'm getting here. Yeah.
Variant to the variant.
Yeah. But anyway, BA.2 has a growth advantage over BA.1, and studies are ongoing to understand the reasons for this growth advantage, but initial data suggests BA.2 appears inherently more transmissible than BA.1, which currently remains the most common Omicron sublineage reported. Studies they're also evaluating the risk of reinfection with BA.2 compared to BA.1. The WHO highlighted that for patients in the UK, there was no difference in the risk of 1 to 2. Additionally, in a release, it noted that real-world data on clinical severity from South Africa, the UK, Denmark indicated there was no reported difference in severity for the variant concern. So apparently this is having different effects in New York than around the world. I wonder if that's because of the sewer rats.
Yeah.
Maybe the sewer rats have caused it to mutate and make it more virulent in New York City. But the only rats I'm thinking of are those teacher union rats. An additional excuse for them to be able to keep our children in masks and make them get vaccinated. I smell a rat, a big rat called the NEA, the National Education Association. Which brings me to another situation or another issue, which is the whole thing of children and masks. They just will not give up. These teachers' unions trying to keep masks on little children. What is the deal with that?
It is cowardice. Kids don't have political power, and so they're easy to pick on. You know, this is just abuse in the worst degree.
And apparently they think their parents don't have power either.
Oh, they're going to find out here.
Yeah. Come election time. We already found out in Virginia, right? And hopefully the parents exercise that power in the rest of the country.
That's why you have to go to war, Eddie, to change the subject.
Oh, man. I mean, it's just, or to the election polls at least, that kind of war. Yeah, but it's really sad. I mean, it really makes me angry, Dave, because what they're doing to our children, and you know what? Oh, my goodness. All right, we're okay. We're not recording.
Oh.
I knew there was something. At least I'm sure you got it on the other one.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, it's lousy sound, though.
Is it? Well, it's okay.
But we're actually recording in the camera.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. So let's just be sure we don't go over the time on the first segment.
Right. Well, we don't know here, but I'll keep an eye out there.
Yeah.
See, you people are so fortunate. We've got redundancy here.
Yeah.
We've got not only layers, but we've got redundancy.
Are we redonkulous?
With that, too. Hey, moving right along.
Yeah.
Moving right along. That famous French actor.
Oh.
Yeah, Jussie Smollett.
Oh, it's Jussie.
Jussie Smollett?
Yes.
Yeah. Many of you may have heard of him. He was on a famous TV show called Empire. A Fox TV show called Empire that I've never watched.
Yeah.
I don't know. You probably haven't watched it either.
No.
Okay.
No.
Anyway, some of you may know it as Jussie Smollett.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. He was sentenced the other day.
I thought his perpetrator was sentenced.
Well, yeah. No. Remember, he actually had two perpetrators.
Well, accused. Yeah.
No, they actually did the perpetration, but he was behind the perpetration.
Yes, it was a scam.
I'm amazed we can even say that. Say that 3 times fast. Perpetrator.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Jussie Smollett, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle likes to call him Jussie Smollett. Anyway, if you've not seen it, it's pretty raunchy, his routines. But that part is good. Yeah. That part is good.
That was actually on conservative talk cable news.
Yeah, it's priceless the way he tells the whole thing, and the audience doesn't get it at first who he's talking about, and then finally some people get it right away, and then slowly it dawns on people who he's speaking of.
Yeah,
and he was saying that the media couldn't understand why black people were not supporting Jussie Smollett. Mm-hmm. And as he put it, he says, because we knew he was clearly lying. Mm-hmm. And he said, here's the reason that black people knew that Jussie Smollett was clearly lying. Mm-hmm. No black people are going to Subway at 2 a.m., first of all.
On the coldest night.
On a freezing night in Chicago.
Yes.
And you're not going to find MAGA wearing hats.
God, no.
No.
Not in the middle of Chicago.
Not in the middle of Chicago. MAGA wearing hat, Trump supporters at 2 a.m. in that part of Chicago. Okay, they just knew. So that's how they knew that he was clearly lying
with Nigerian accents.
Well, yeah, but he left that part out.
Yeah.
That wasn't even part of the deal.
Oh no, yeah.
But so that's how black people knew that Jussie was lying right from the start.
God, yeah.
But the routine is really funny. He imitates the police, and it's really funny. He is really a very funny guy. I mean,
absolutely.
One thing, he's raunchy as all get out, but he is a funny guy. I wish some of these guys. Cat Williams is another one. Mm-hmm. There's several of them. Even when he began, well, you had Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy. Mm-hmm. These are truly funny individuals, but for some reason they just had to go with the language and the raunchy. Cat Williams, he calls himself the pimp comedian. He's a little bitty short guy. Mm-hmm. He's probably, I think he's 4'11" or 5 feet tall or something. He's very small. But he does a routine where he talks about if you're black and you're in trouble, he says every black person should have a white friend. Okay. And he said you got to have a white friend. And he tells this story about a guy getting picked up by the cops, on the street at night or something, like at 2 or 3 in the morning, and he calls his black friends up. And they're saying, "Who is this?" The person on the other line. "Who is it? What you doing calling me here at this time?" I'm like, bleep, bleep, bleep. What are you doing? And click and hang up. And he calls some white lady by accident. Yes, who is this? "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. I dialed by accident." "Oh no, it's okay. It's okay. And what's your problem? "Oh, ma'am, I'm here by the police and I've been picked up and I can't get anybody." "Really? Well, let me speak to the officer."
Oh, Eddie, I want to know.
And this white lady starts getting on the officer. sir, you better treat this man with respect, you know? And the white person that doesn't even know him basically takes more time to get this guy. He said, and then he put him back on the phone and said, listen, if they give you any trouble, you have my number, call me back.
Eddie, am I on this podcast because I'm white?
Yeah, you're the token honky. You're the token honky.
I'm the guy who picked up the phone when you called.
Yeah, right, exactly. You're the guy. But anyway, all right. Getting back to Jussie Smollett. Yeah. How do we do this every week? I get off on these tangents. You get off on tangents. Hopefully, you people enjoy the tangents.
We have fruitful
but
minds,
anyway,
Eddie.
So Jussie received 5 months in jail. Mm-hmm. He should have received 5 years probably for all the trouble he caused. And the expense, think of all the expense he cost. Mm-hmm. And so he gets 5 months. What does he do at the end? He goes off on this rant, and he's indignant. He's yelling, and his lawyer, this lady, you see her, she wants to tell him to calm down, but it looks like she's afraid he's going to smack her or something. And he's ranting, and he's throwing his fist up in the air and saying, I will not commit suicide.
Yes,
I'm not
suicidal.
I'm not suicidal. In other words, if I die in jail, it's because they killed me. You know, like he's, what's the guy who, the
Epstein?
Epstein, yeah, the Lolita Express guy or whatever. So they lead him off, and he's serving now. But here's the other thing. Do you know who Kim Foxx is?
Yes.
She's the state's attorney for Cook County in Illinois.
They call him county prosecutor.
Right, but it's actually the Cook County state's attorney. I don't know.
It's a DA.
It's a weird.
Yeah, in Oklahoma you call him district attorney.
But she says that it was a kangaroo court that found him. Oh, God. Yeah.
She ought to be disbarred.
Oh, she's ridiculous.
Everything she did, she recused herself, and the law doesn't allow her to name a replacement. Right. But she did. She picked somebody who would get him off.
Right.
And I think there's some legitimacy here. In the truest sense of justice, he got what he deserved. But
I think he deserved more.
Okay.
But at least
the argument against double jeopardy, being tried twice. Once a court rules, a case adjudicated. And if prosecutors don't get a do-over, defendants do it. Defendants can appeal, but prosecutors can't. It was really kind of funny how it happened here. And I do agree with Jussie on one thing. The amount of money and resources that the government choose to put into investigating a situation. That's their discretion. And I guarantee you, if this was a nobody, they wouldn't have spent that amount of money. The same thing happened about 15 years ago. A young, pretty gal went missing a week before her wedding. And she just overwhelmed, stressed, and just decided to take off. Right? They found her safe and sound and everything, and they charged her in court with causing all this problem. Why? Because the cops, and this is driven by cable news, if you're young and pretty female, your life is worth more. Or at least it is to ratings, right? And so it all of a sudden, Greta Van Susteren and all the, Nancy and everybody decided that, this is a pretty young thing. This will get us ratings. So they went with it. And of course, then all of a sudden you get all these phone calls. You guys aren't doing enough to find her. I know she's in trouble. Well, check. See, this is the kind of thing that happens. And I don't think that you can put that off. The fact that you decided to spend 100 times more money on investigating a case. What do you say to that?
All right. I'm a bit confused still what that has to do with this. I mean, in that, what was the outcome? Are you saying she was tried twice or Jussie was tried twice?
Jussie was also given a fine of the full amount restitution back to the county.
Right. And what happened with the girl? That's what I'm trying to get at. What did they do with her?
I really didn't follow that through because she ended up appealing it, and you
don't know what happened.
Went on, but the argument I agree with. You can't put up because no crime happened, but people thought there was a crime.
Right. Okay. All right.
Because I'm telling you, you know how I work in mental health.
No, I know, but I don't want to take people away from this. I don't want to take people's minds off this.
Right.
Bottom line, Jussie got 5 months in jail, and he's paying restitution.
He's having to pay for all of the investigation.
Which is what should have happened. He should have to pay, right?
I think
you don't agree. You don't agree that Jussie should have to pay for all of the expense that he cost Cook County and for everything he did and everything he put everyone through. You don't think he should have to
pay for the costs to actually, investigate. I do. I think the fact that they decided to spend 100 times more resources. That's an arbitrary thing and it was for no other reason than he was a celebrity.
No. I disagree. And the reason they had to do that is because you got an idiot like Kim Fox that is trying to subvert the law because he was a celebrity.
Okay, but
if it was Jamal Johnson,
that doesn't apply.
From South LA doing the same thing, he'd have been thrown in jail a long time ago.
Well, I would say Kim Fox.
You think Kim Fox would have? Well, yeah, she should pay, but the way she should pay is by kicking her butt out of office.
Yeah, she should be impeached.
Okay.
But keep in mind, everything she did was after the investigation was done.
It wasn't completed. She hindered the investigation too. Mm-hmm. She hindered and buried stuff, and I mean, seriously. So what she did should be criminally probably investigated. And if there's criminal charges that should be brought, they should be brought.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, as far as Jussie, justice was done. I'm glad. Throw his butt in jail. Fine him. Okay.
Yep.
Good. End of story. And hopefully Fox Television, 20th Century Fox, doesn't hire him back, and they don't try to. Especially that. What's that girl on Good Morning America, the black lady in the mornings that she was a cancer victim and she's a lesbian and she's real famous and all right, never mind. Anyway, she had him on and she's like, oh Jussie, oh you poor thing, how did you have to go through this kind. I hope it discredits all of those people.
Absolutely.
Because they're all skunks. Okay.
Yep.
All right. So enough of that.
Right.
All right. We're going to take a quick break here, and when we get back, I'm going to do a little story, my opinion on Ukraine. Okay,
yes.
We're going to do that, a quick story and an editorial, my opinion, because I've been going off on this on Facebook, and I just want people to really understand where I'm coming from on this. Okay, great. So we'll be back after this. Hey, by the way, while we take this break, I'm going to go ahead and speak about my book. It's called Y'all Have Sinned, and it is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
Yeah.
And eventually we'll get it up on one of our websites.
I hope we do a good review of it, Eddie, you and me.
Yeah.
As a project.
So look for it. If you'll go to Black.Coffee at gmail.com, Black.Coffee at gmail.com, give us your address and everything. We'll keep you abreast of everything, okay? Anyway, in the meantime, we'll get back to the show. Okay, everybody. Ukraine has been pretty much sucking up the airwaves and the air of everyone and everything for the last couple of weeks. And I just thought I would take some time here to discuss and give you my opinion on it, okay? I've been posting on Facebook quite a bit about this, and I just wanted to give a little more of my opinion on this. There's a U.S. congressman from Florida, and he's a Republican. He's not a Democrat. He's a Republican. And I wanted to respond because it's weird that Republicans tend to or seem to be the ones who really are supporting this idea of a no-fly zone and much of the wanting us to get involved in the whole fight over there. And I'm not so sure I want this. The gentleman's name is Brian Mast. He's actually a black congressman. Strangely, Florida has probably more black representatives than U.S. representatives and so forth than any other state in the union, at least Republicans. Let's put it that way. New York and all these other states have a lot of Democrats. But don't let me digress. He supports a no-fly zone. He's a veteran, and he really believes that we should support a no-fly zone. And he says he absolutely supports a no-fly zone, and he wanted to clarify this, that he does not want us to be in a ground conflict, but he thinks a no-fly zone is okay. The problem with a no-fly zone is if we start shooting down Russian planes, what's the difference in that and killing ground troops? Or if we're in a no-fly zone and one of our planes shoots a missile and it crosses a border over into Russia and happens to kill Russian troops, Russian civilians, and so forth, it's a problem, correct? So we're really in a mess there. And so many U.S. Congress people and others seem to support this. We have a lot of people that think that we're supposed to get involved in Ukraine, personally involved. I don't think so. Now, here's my opinion. I want to go ahead and share this. And I wrote this out. I want to read a bit my thoughts. I put them in an outline form, but here's the deal. Unless there's divine intervention, which at this point I don't see it, I'm very open to it. I pray for Ukraine. I pray for the people. I pray for God to intervene. But at this point, I don't see it, and I'm not getting a witness on it. I believe that the Ukrainian resistance is futile, okay? That's what I'm just saying and I'm going to admit it's a carnal point of view, okay? Accuse me of not having faith to believe that the Ukrainians can defeat the Russian army. But at this point, that's how I see it. One of the reasons for this, and another reason that I believe the Ukrainians should probably be giving up soon, and why I'm praying for their leaders to quickly surrender. I really do. I do. I part of my prayer is that the Ukrainian leadership would just say, okay, what do we need to do, Vladimir? What will make you happy? And we can end this and preserve our nation. And that's why I'm praying for this. The fecklessness of Europe. Fecklessness basically means the weakness and the lack of will to do anything really other than talk, okay? The European fecklessness and weakness is at its worst. Germany, France, England, the former NATO powers are no longer powers at all. They're, in fact, weak minions and subject to whoever provides energy. They're helpless and powerless to whoever supports and gives them energy and promises them energy. The Russian pipeline, they're still receiving their energy from Russia. They're not willing to do anything to rattle the cage of Vladimir Putin and the Russians because they need that gas. Why? Because they've shut down their own nuclear power plants. They've gotten rid of coal. They're not using their own natural gas. They refuse to do anything because they've surrendered to the left in their own country. Now they're at the mercy of Russia. Also, because they hated Donald Trump so much because of U.S. strength and power, which they couldn't stand out of their petty envy and jealousy, because of that, they refused our offers to supply them the energy that could keep them going. They'd rather go to Russia, and so we see where they are. Number 3, the fecklessness of the United States and the Biden administration. 3 or 4 weeks ago, Joe Biden gave a really big speech about how Vladimir Putin and the Russians better not enter Ukraine. He better not invade Ukraine, or he would suffer severe consequences. He would understand what we're talking about. He would understand he would suffer severe consequences. What consequences? There have been no consequences. What, sanctions? At that time, I posted on Facebook the difference between he and Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt, as you may remember, had the famous saying that leaders should carry a big stick and have a small voice. Speak softly and carry a big stick. Joe Biden has always had a loud mouth and carried no stick. He basically is nothing more. His MO entire life has been to speak loudly, carry no stick, and when it comes to deliver, he's like a squeaky, squealing little dog. And anytime he really gets attacked, he goes squealing and running away. And that's where he is today. He will not do anything. Okay? Now, in the case of a no-fly zone and us getting involved there, I agree, because we do not want to enter World War III, okay? Whether it's a bluff or not, the opportunity's there, okay? But, I mean, if we're really ready and willing to take that chance, once you take that step, it's like that when you draw that line, you say, don't cross that line. If you cross that line, there will be consequences. You had better be ready for there to be consequences. Otherwise, do not draw that line. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's just the world powers. Everyone knows that Joe Biden is a big mouth with no action behind it. That's why now you have Iran, you have Venezuela, the other part, Middle East, all of the Middle Eastern. Saudi Arabia won't even return his calls. He's asked them to help us with gas and so forth. Oil, nope, they won't even return his calls. What happened to all of the respect that the United States was supposed to get? MSNBC, NBC, CBS, ABC, all of these people told us that the United States was going to return to a place of respect. We're going to be respected. Our president is once again going to be respected by the world powers. Where is that respect today? It's not there. Donald Trump may have been hated. I believe he was actually hated, not just not respected. He was hated, but he was respected. I mean, there's a big difference there. It's funny how that works. You have one man that's hated, but he's respected, Donald Trump. You have Joe Biden, who may be liked outwardly, but he's not respected. He is not respected. And now he's lost respect here in our own country. We don't respect him. Even his own people, the Democrats don't respect him. Black people don't respect him. Latinos don't respect him. Asians don't respect him. Even Democrats don't respect him. He's just someone they throw up there. They can't wait to replace him. Hillary Clinton is out there campaigning now. She's back out trying to she just can't wait for them to dump Joe so she can run. It's sad. The media and certain political interests continue to prop up Ukraine. They continue to every little victory, every time a Russian plane is shot down, a tank is blown up. Oh, look at this. The Ukrainians blew up a Russian tank. They shot down a plane. Look, they're making a strong stand here, and here. What does that do? That prolongs the suffering. Do you know how many thousands of planes, how many thousands of tanks, how many thousands of soldiers Russia has compared to Ukraine? Ukraine has had 2.5 million people flee. 2.5 million people have fled. And more are fleeing constantly. They already had towns devastated. And so, on one hand, we're cheering every little victory, every little skirmish that where Ukrainian missile may have hit a Russian plane or a Russian tank. But for every one of those, a town is destroyed. People's lives are devastated. Children are without fathers, maybe mothers, without schools, without hospitals, without a home. And all we do by prolonging this, by giving hope where there's no hope, is prolonging the agony. Ukrainians are dying, people. This isn't a joke. This isn't some game of stratego or risk or something like this. You can't. I believe God can and will restore and decide who wins in the end. His ways are not our ways. Creating no-fly zones, sending weapons that will escalate the conflict. We also, the other side of this is sending more and more weapons to Ukraine. What happens to those weapons, like in Afghanistan? All the weapons we had in Afghanistan that Biden and them decided to leave. What happens when the Russians come in and those weapons are still there? Those are no longer Ukrainian weapons. Those are now Russian weapons, right? Basically, we just, here you are, Vlad. Here's $1 billion worth of weaponry. You're welcome. These are all things that we have to think about. We're escalating conflict where there's no exit strategy. There's no win in there. Now, I'm like the UFC fighter. There's a young man that many of you may have seen on the Tucker Carlson show this week. He said, when they show up in Arkansas, he's from Arkansas. He said, when they show up in Arkansas, I will dig my heels in and I will fight to the death. If that's the attitude that every American has, that when they show up in our country and we will fight to defend our nation, that's when we need to dig in, okay? If we could transfer that same spirit to every German, every Pole, every Dutch person, every French person, every Italian person, everyone like that around the world, and they understood it, at that point, then our enemies would understand that do not mess with the United States of America. Do not mess with Europe. And once those people respect us and understand that we are serious, that's when we win. When Americans fight for America, when our fight begins at the Rio Grande right now, we've got to fight right now at the Rio Grande, okay? And we're not fighting that fight. How can we fight overseas when we're not fighting at the Rio Grande? We're not willing to fight for our own country. Why would we fight over there? We've got millions of people coming into our country with no borders, and we're ready to start a world war? No. No. Until then, it's just another fool's errand. So, think what you will. I pray for the people of Ukraine. I'm ready to see that stop. My heart hurts for those people. And I get angry. I get angry at Fox News, Newsmax. I don't care who they are. I don't care how right, how conservative, whatever they are. They're just as bad as your left-wing news. They're just as bad. If they're sitting there trying to convince us that the Ukrainians are fighting a brave fight and they're getting their lives taken away from them, they're getting their homes devastated, they're getting everything in a fight that we're not really ever going to help them in, that could end up escalating into Poland, into Czechoslovakia, into Hungary, and beyond, into Scandinavia, over into Germany, into France, into England, and eventually on our own shores. These people, they're whores. They're media whores. They think that they can scoop us. They think they can sit there and talk great with noble speeches on their little television sets in front of their cameras and sound good when they're not ready to go themselves. I speak to every congressman, every senator that talks about how we should send stuff to Ukraine. Unless you're ready to send your own children, unless you're ready to give up your Senate seat, your House seat, and pack up and go, shut up. Just shut up. I don't want to hear from you. That's my 2 cents. Thank you. And we'll talk to you later.
I'm Jeff Davis with Just a Thought. From the world hindquarters of dubious information, it's Fake News Friday. Major news outlets suspending reports in Russia because fake news can get you 15 years in the slammer, and fake news is whatever government says it is there. Like Facebook. A report that China asked Russia not to invade Ukraine until after the Olympics was called fake news by China, and if anyone knows anything about fake news, it's China. The President's State of the Union address was loaded with fake news. Mr. Biden said, quote, "Gun manufacturers are the only industry in America that can't be sued." That is factually incorrect, sir. Bernie Gores, who doesn't exist, was killed in Afghanistan, and another report said he was the first American casualty in Ukraine, and as everyone knows, the first casualty of war is truth. A whole bunch of people were arrested in Canada over the truckers' convoy, but a video said they were released because their arrests were illegal. Nope, not true. President Biden claims there's research to back universal kindercare. Nope. Just a thought. I'm Jeff Davis.
All right, Dave, we're back.
Some reflective music.
I needed something to calm me down.
Hey, we just had a great monologue. That was a lot to chew on.
Well, yeah, I had to stop before I get too wound up.
Oh, before I
got
just shut up. yeah, Eddie's not
before I start throwing equipment. Before I start throwing equipment around the room.
Yeah.
No, seriously, it just gets my goat. My dad went to Vietnam. It's funny. I've gone, when I was in college, I was a peace guy. I got into the whole peace movement. Mm-hmm. Okay. Then in the 80s until probably a few years ago, I was really very much not a warmonger, but I was for getting involved in Iraq and Afghanistan and all of these things. And it was different, too, when they attacked us on 9/11, right, and everything. But now, from seeing what's going on, what's happening, and seeing what I call these, what my coach used to call gutless wonders. I see these people get in front of cameras.
Oh, yeah.
And talk all this stuff, about how we need to send this equipment. And I'll tell you, I've become more and more of a fan of Tulsi Gabbard, okay?
Yeah.
Tulsi actually went to Afghanistan. She was actually...
Yeah, she's a soldier.
She's a soldier. And people like that have been there. And, we don't know we're playing with people's lives.
Yeah.
The Ukrainians, the most beautiful thing that could happen would be if the Ukrainians kicked all of the news people out. Just kick them out and then fight their fight, right? Because these people, 24/7, all it is, these correspondents over there. In fact, it was great. Who was it? It was on some, I can't remember where I saw this. Somebody was coming out about them. These guys that are war correspondents, supposedly. Oh, it's Rick Leventhal. Rick Leventhal, I remember.
Fox News guy.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's there anymore.
Right, but he was a reporter.
But Rick, and then what's the other one? He's on Newsmax now. Greg, Kelly, Greg Kelly.
Yes.
Okay, they were hooking up. They were talking about, because they were both embedded. Remember, embedded with the troops. and Rick especially, he was coming down on him about how these guys are in a hotel 200 miles from any battle. And they're talking about all this stuff that's going on in the safety of their hotel room.
Yep. That's
and he's saying, this is ridiculous. You guys are talking all this stuff and you're not anywhere near the battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's true. And that stuff just makes me angry that you've got these people that are supposed to be these experts, 20-something-year-old expert on war and strategy, and you've got these colonels and generals and these people.
They're the worst. The retired ones.
Yeah, the retired ones. More like tired,
Now, your dad was, what, a colonel?
No, he was a sergeant. But
didn't he become a non-commissioned officer?
Well, he's a non-commissioned, but you got officers and non-commissioned.
Yeah.
NCO. It was an
NCO,
enlisted man. He was always enlisted. But anyway, but see, even him, he was in Pleiku in Vietnam, which was right in the hot heat of the battle near the DMZ. And he used to have to go with the colonel in these helicopters to the fighting line to count the bodies. He's the one who wrote the letters.
Oh God.
Yeah, he was the personnel sergeant.
Wow.
And he would write the letters and then the colonel would sign them and then he would send them home to the widows.
Wow.
But he used to tell me, he's a colonel, said, "All right, Huff, come on, we're going out to the front." And my dad once, seriously, do we have to?
Yeah.
But because it wasn't about going to the front. My dad just didn't like riding in those helicopters. They're open,
Yeah.
And so they'd go out and then they land. And
those were Hueys, right?
yeah, the Hueys, and they'd fly over the zone, the LZ and the landing zones, and they'd see the smoke and after the battles. And,
that'd be depressing.
And there'd still be shooting, and he'd go out there. And then he'd see the dead bodies and stuff but that was his job. But so he actually got to see the carnage, what would happen and so forth. But these guys today, a lot of these, they haven't been in a war.
Yeah.
A lot of these retired people haven't even been
80s and 90s were easy.
And so it's, for them to be talking about, well, all we need to do then Putin this and Putin that, blah, blah. Come on. Putin, they want to say Putin's crazy. He's losing his mind. Putin's not losing his mind. Putin knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's playing America. He knows who he's dealing with.
Yeah.
He knew what he was doing with Obama. He hated Obama. You could tell. He was probably in his mind, you mongrel. It was like, N-word. Now, because you see him, he's looking at Obama, and I was just thinking, who does this N-word think he is, and with Biden, you idiot, who do you think? It was but with Trump, you could, if you actually look at his expressions, it was like, okay, who is this guy? He couldn't figure out, and I don't think anybody could figure out. Nobody still has figured out Trump.
And Trump wants it that way.
Yeah, and I still haven't figured it out. You haven't figured it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just know that in the 4 years we had Trump, nobody did anything.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the only thing we know. And so, what he would do today, I don't know. We don't know. So these are the differences. But I've got angry, and I watched this. And I think of the people, like I watched, in Hungary, Poland, Romania, all these countries that the Ukrainian people are fleeing to. And it's these women and children, and their husbands are left back there in Ukraine fighting and dying. And these guys are all, yes, I will stay here and die for my country. Yeah. And I'm thinking, and you're going to leave your wife a widow and all this. And why? There's other ways to fight.
Yeah, I want to say something on this. The guy who's emerged as the broker, the peacemaker, is the Israeli Prime Minister Bennett. And he just a couple days ago, after, this back and forth, talked to Putin, talked to Zelensky. And he just flat out said openly, Zelensky, you're not going to get a better deal. Take this and take it now. You know? And now, here's the thing I think we have accomplished and weakened the persona of the great Russian military. They looked really bad.
Yeah, but see, I take issue with that because one thing we don't want to do, and especially the liberal media has done, it's almost like they're trying to challenge Putin's manhood.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And why? Do not challenge a person's ego in their manhood to make them prove their manhood. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the worst thing you can do, especially if you think the guy's nuts.
No, I'm just saying right now, and let me finish this narrative. If you take the deal, the ceasefire, and that you create a soft exit, right? Or at least something that, Putin would have to look really bad. But you've done it after 2.5 weeks of Putin not looking decisive. So what I'm saying is, I think there's, I'm like you. Most of what you hear in these narratives, you got to disregard.
Right.
There's so much dishonesty in that. But I think that there's some merit to the idea of, okay, you've made your point and you scored a lot of points on the international scene now. Now to save lives, maybe you take the deal and live to fight another day and go for the political, upheaval thing. Because we've thrown off the Great Russian Bear before, we can do it again.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Politically, I look at it like I look at Israel or Judah being taken into Babylonian captivity, right?
Yep.
But it took 70 years. But when they came, they were still Judah.
They were still a nation. They were still a people.
Nation, and
they weren't
rebuilt.
Annihilated.
Exactly. And they rebuilt and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay. In our minds, we think it's got to be a certain way. Exactly. But if, and maybe they come back stronger and better. Maybe it's a purifying thing or something, right? And who knows what. And apparently, like you said, I think Russia's got enough internal problems that maybe the people in Russia themselves are fed up enough with Putin to where they have internal struggles and internal revolt will, in other words, it could crumble from within.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah, I agree with that. So that's what I think. But when you watch our media, they're just pigs. They're horrible. It's all about them. It's all about ratings. And they're trying, and in their attempt to try to make Biden look good and that Democrat administration look good, they sit there, they've got to do whatever they can to make Putin look bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't have to do that.
No.
Don't sit there and try to call Putin all kinds of names. Don't try to make him look like this and this and this. The Russian military look bad. You see, you don't have to do that.
Yep.
Let them take care of themselves.
Yep.
And then we'll do it that way. Okay. I forgot we had that other little extra.
Yeah, I don't know if you reset the timer. Are we up against a break?
No.
Okay.
No, we did reset the timer.
Oh, good. Then we've got more time on that.
Yeah, a little bit more time.
But yeah, that was the biggest thing I wanted to say was...
Because we have 30 minutes?
30 on the camera, yeah.
Yeah, so we probably should go ahead and take a break. Let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come back after this. All right? All right. We will see you in a little bit, everybody.
I'm Jeff Davis with Just a Thought. When people thought there might be an inexpensive drug that could be taken that could fight the symptoms of COVID, there was a full court press to make a joke of it. Many in the news media, in lockstep with the medical people playing favorites to Big Pharma, spread misinformation, made fun of people for wanting to get ivermectin, a drug approved for humans that costs pennies. It was called horse medicine by the media and authorities. Medical groups prohibited doctors from prescribing it. That unified condemnation drove the cost of ivermectin up from pennies to dollars per dose. And if you could find a doctor to prescribe it, you'd have to search for a pharmacy that would fill the prescription. Now, peer-reviewed research has been done which shows that ivermectin, when used ahead of infection, has saved many lives. A drug deprived of many who did not survive. This may be one of the biggest medical scandals in history, and the people who ingratiated themselves to be the messenger of lies and misinformation should pay for actions that cost many the lives of people that we loved. Just a thought. I'm Jeff Davis.
All right, moving right along.
Yeah.
Get right back into it. So, again, I think a lot of my frustration has been with the mainstream media. And I get really upset when you see Fox News, and now even Newsmax is falling into it, and it's getting harder and harder to find really good news stream. Honestly, to me, probably my favorite of them all right now is Fox Business.
Yeah.
Because they put everything into perspective. It's it's not in a vacuum.
I agree.
And, in the mornings, Maria Bartiromo and those people, that whole morning crew up until about 10 o'clock or so,
And
really, really puts everything into perspective.
And I would say, especially now, when two of our biggest struggles, oil, energy, and inflation.
Yeah.
Those are huge things. So, it is a time to pay attention to the economics.
Yeah.
And so...
it's all about economics, isn't it? I mean, everything boils down to that, doesn't it?
You said something about how Saudi Arabia isn't even returning Biden's call.
Yeah.
Biden has decided now to attack the American oil industry.
Right.
And let's name names. There's EON, I think is it, out of Houston, and number 2, Devon Oil.
Yeah, out of Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City, as the 2 biggest permit holders of permits, to drill that are out there not acted upon. Now, if I could just do really simple, those permits happen to be in New Mexico because they found another reserve and stuff. Remember, all of those permits got canceled as soon as Biden became president. He canceled all. But a federal judge out of Louisiana declared the canceling them was not properly done, that it would actually take an act of Congress to do that. So all of a sudden, reluctantly, Biden had to honor these permits. The lease is already there, but you need the permits, that's stacked up, government regulation. So the CEO of Devon last week said, it just baffles me why Biden hasn't agreed to sit down with the American oil industry. He won't.
It doesn't baffle me. Or you probably either, right?
But good sense means that's what you do. Instead, he wants to run to Venezuela and to Saudi Arabia, and Iran.
Well, you know why Saudi Arabia won't talk to him?
Why?
Because of Iran.
Yeah.
See, they're the Shiites and the Sunnis.
Right.
You got that whole thing. For him to allow Iran to enrich themselves again puts Saudi Arabia in danger.
Right.
So you've got the Shiite Sunni deal going on. Mm-hmm. So for him to be talking to them, making them powerful again, it's the enemy of the enemy.
Right.
And I don't understand what they're thinking. I don't understand what Biden and his people are thinking with the whole Iranian or the Venezuelan deal is. I mean, just go to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia should be able to provide us enough oil.
Right.
Now, here, this is the funny one, okay? Mm-hmm. Russia and Iran are tight, okay? In fact, I think we talked about this last week, that basically Russia is negotiating with Iran on the nuclear deal on our behalf. Did you know that? We talked about that last week.
Yeah, we did.
They are our... I mean, come on. I mean, this is getting crazier and crazier.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah.
So apparently, I just read this morning as well, that basically what's happening, we have now banned Russian oil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we banned Russian oil. But what Russia is doing now, Russia sells the oil to Iran, and then Iran sells the same oil to us.
Oh, it's laundering. It happens all the time.
Oh, man.
This is the problem with boycotts, is things get laundered through intermediary countries.
It's just silly.
I mean, yeah.
So bottom line, everyone, is we need to drill, baby, drill.
Right. And to that point, getting back onto the Devon narrative, it was just less than a year ago, right? Maybe 6 months ago, that all of a sudden those permits were reinstated. Mm-hmm. Well, like any good business, you got to plan for these things months and years in advance, because you got to haul all your infrastructure, all your drilling rigs and everything, and get them up.
Oh,
For Biden to say, well, they've got the permits and they aren't drilling. They got permits because you got overruled in the courts just a few months ago. You know, what they do need, the oil industry needs, is an understanding that our federal government's not coming after them. When you got Biden, who's already said in the presidential debates in the Democrat primaries, is we're going to get rid of all of fossil fuels.
Yeah.
You know, so you know now you've got an administration that's gunning for your destruction.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and now in one of my sources and reviewing this was Bloomberg News, which is another, you know, they're leftist, but they still do some journalism. Okay?
Yeah, at least they don't hide everything. Yeah,
and they said, you know, one of the things that's happening here is that would be a huge investment that would take away from stockholder dividends right now. And right now, the stockholder dividends are awesome. Mm-hmm. You know, if you got friends here in Tulsa, and I do too, in the oil industry, they're keeping their mouth shut about how much money they're making, because they're making it hand over fist right now. Yeah. You know, so that was the thing I wanted to say on oil. I do want to, if you can get into the inflation thing. You know, what's going on here? Because they're blaming everything on Putin.
Yeah. I guess their Trump index has run out. Yeah. So now let's blame Putin. We got a new one to blame. Yeah. It's almost ridiculous to even bring up inflation because everybody sees it.
Yeah.
You know, at the pump. I mean, the gas inflation is one thing to talk about. It was bad. They're talking about, you know, the $5-6 oil. Mm-hmm. I think $8 is in an extreme, but there's even $8 gas out there. I
guarantee it's going to go higher.
Well, yeah, for the unleaded, you know, not unleaded. What do you call it?
Diesel.
Yeah, diesel. But when we were coming back, we went to California in December.
Yep.
And on the way back, we were in Arizona. Mm-hmm. And we were paying $5.50 something in one of our stops in Arizona, which was ridiculous. It was $5 something already there, but in California it was $4 already back then. That was already then, so it's at least $5-6 there. So and so when you see it on the news, what you're seeing is actually the average. Mm-hmm. There are, I think I saw one this morning was $7 in one place in California.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, inflation, it's just terrible. It's terrible. And did you see the other thing? What they're doing, the other trick is, this was the funny one. What was it? Was it cornflakes? It was something that it's like, or chips. It was either chips or cornflakes, but there's like 13 less chips per bag.
Oh.
Yeah. It was only, I mean, they were specific. I didn't realize. I thought it was by weight, like ounces, but apparently, when they put the stuff in the bags, it's the number of chips or flakes. And so whatever it was like 13 less chips or 13 less flakes. Excuse me. But it was really kind of funny.
Yeah.
And all these things, they're starting to short you on what you were getting before. So they're still raising the price, but they're raising the price and giving you less.
Oh yeah. And I'm researching right now for another Sooner Politics article on our oil industry, especially distribution. Now, I've got to say this really fast here. The Keystone Pipeline has been operational for a long time. The Keystone XL.
Right, the XL is the one that hasn't.
Is the other one. Right now, it goes from Edmonton, Calgary area, and goes all the way over almost to Winnipeg, and then comes straight down along the North Dakota, Minnesota border, all the way down into Cushing.
Cushing, right.
Okay? So it's...
Is this still running or is it closed?
Oh, it's good. It's
Oh,
good.
it's still running.
Right.
That one's still running.
Right.
Okay.
That's a 30-inch pipeline. Now, what they want to do is do a diagonal from Montana, kind of eastern Montana, that actually picks up what's in what they call Baker. But it takes all the oil as well from the Bakken oil fields of western North Dakota, which is huge, and eastern Montana and all that. So it's not just bringing us Canadian oil. And from there, it runs a beeline down to northern Kansas and then ties in to the existing XL. And actually, they want to even run a separate pipeline alongside it down to Cushing, Oklahoma. Cushing not only is that place where all these pipelines come in.
It's the hub.
It's not just a hub, but it's probably our biggest strategic oil reserves is in Cushing. Mm-hmm. You know, so you've got all that going on. So I looked at the states that produce oil, the refineries in volume. Texas is by a mile number one, but then you've got, believe it or not, California is in the top 5. So you see, the argument is, well, it's the distribution, it's the pipeline, that's why gas costs more out there. No, they got plenty. You can't blame it on distribution. You know where we don't have refinery capacities? All along the eastern seaboard. We got New Jersey's has some, and Pennsylvania, Delaware, and that's it. Running the whole eastern side. Oklahoma's number 9. You know, so I just want to say for distribution and stuff like that, it matters because if you bring that second Keystone in, you more than double the volume. And it's all about getting the oil because we need 20 million barrels a day to run this economy, at least 20. And if you can bring another 5% on from Keystone, and that's about what it would do, but 5% can radically change a market because it's all about the ask and the bid, right? The give and take, the buy, the sell. So anyway, I wanted just to give people a primer on that. Thank you for letting me deal with it.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah.
Oilology.
Yeah.
A primer in oilology.
Yeah.
Hey, we've got about 20 minutes left.
Yeah.
Let's get into the elections in the state Senate race coming up here.
The U.S. Senate?
Yes.
Yeah.
From Oklahoma.
Right.
In particular. A couple of events have occurred this week.
Yep.
New people. So, as we understand, T.W. Shannon has officially thrown his hat in the ring. He never wears a hat, but he has thrown his hat in the ring. What else is new?
Well, actually, the person who broke that story early was James Langford on Newsmax. I believe it was Wednesday morning, Tuesday or Wednesday, said that he's in the race when he hadn't announced yet. So, but then Langford said another one is probably going to announce this weekend. Could be happening as we speak.
And that is?
Well, in my opinion, the biggest name we're looking at is Tulsa and Kevin Hearn, congressman from Tulsa. And friends of yours and mine have met with him and strategized. Do we do it? Do we not? And now who do we have in? Matt Pinnell did actually issue a statement saying, thank you for all the, people's confidence in me, thinking I should run for this. You know what? I'm staying right now in the office of lieutenant governor, running for another term in that. Okay, so that one's out of there. So you've got Mullen. Who else have we got? We got the chief of staff, this young guy out of Bartlesville, in-office chief of staff, who, if you don't know who he is, you're not alone. Okay, then you got some national guy that's getting a lot of support from the D.C. Beltway, including Senator Mike Lee, is a guy who's a national security officer for Trump. I can't remember his name either. And you know what? That's his problem. Yeah, but he's in the race. So you got a couple of people that are just not known outside the Beltway that are in it. Paul Wesselhoff, Actually, man with the Potawatomi tribe and a former legislator. He'd been a good friend of mine for a number of years. Don't think he has a chance. Keep in mind.
That's so funny because, every time you turn around, we learn of a new tribe.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Citizen Potawatomi.
Potawatomi.
Yeah, and Shawnee. So,
Paula wannabe.
Yeah.
Paul's a wannabe.
No, Nathan Dahm had been in the race to unseat Langford. He jumped over into this other one. Yeah.
That's a big mistake. Once you start doing that, I mean, that's a big mistake. He should have stayed. I think. I think he had as much or better of a chance running against Langford than he. I mean, at least to his credit. What's his name? That's running over there against Langford, the pastor.
Oh, Jackson Lawmeyer.
Jackson Lawmeyer. At least to his credit, he's locked in.
Oh, I think it's a smart thing to do.
It is. It
in
is.
Fact,
for Nathan to switch.
A good
races.
friend of yours and mine who had lunch with a person
Jackson.
considering this. No, another fella. Flat out said the easy race is to unseat Langford because the other ones were all the big money's going into.
Oh, and the names.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, if you've got TW and you've got Kevin Hearn, if
well, Hearn's not yet.
Well,
that's the one
okay.
I'm waiting on.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Yeah.
Mullen.
Right, Congressman Mullen.
You got INF's chief of staff.
You
got this national security guy.
I mean, that's going to be the contentious race. We may have a runoff in that one. In fact, if nobody can get over 50%.
Right.
But honestly, Nathan has done a favor for Jackson or Langford because if you only have two people running, it's going to be a winner take all. The first one. So but
so those are things. Now everything's like musical chairs. All of a sudden, you got Mark Wayne Mullen is probably the guy in the highest current office seat, CD2, Eastern Oklahoma. Now all of a sudden, that's opened up. And you've got a terming out state lawmaker, Dustin Roberts, is running for that. And then you've got another fellow, John Bennett, who had also been in the legislature and has gotten himself in a huge mess of trouble as the state GOP chairman. And even though he's announced, he hasn't resigned the state GOP chairmanship. And there's a bunch of scandal going on and lawsuits against the GOP. One is actually the plaintiff is a friend of mine, a blogger, Al Gerhardt. And the mess. And I'm telling you, I would have said John Bennett's a strong name a year ago. Now, he's a hollow shell of who
that's going to be a tough race. I'll tell you what, that would be a race. If the Democrats wanted to pick up a seat, that would be one for them to go after. Yeah. Because especially with Little Dixie, that second district over, is that the first or second?
Second.
Is the second, isn't it? That second district over there has Little Dixie in it, which is a traditionally Democrat district anyway. And so, it's one that if you got the right Democrat running over there, conservative Democrat, that would be one that the Democrats could try to poach.
David Bourne used to be that guy.
Yeah.
Not David, I'm sorry.
Dan Bourne, right. If you had someone like Dan Bourne that were to run and could convince people that he's an Oklahoma values Democrat, then that would be the right pickings. I don't know this other, what you say his name was, the state rep that's
Dustin Roberts.
What's he like? Is he?
He's not the most conservative guy out there.
Yeah.
He's going to have to, the problem there is if you've got Bennett and Roberts, it's all going to be about Bennett's scandals.
So Mark Wayne Mullen has decided he's not going to run again.
Mark Wayne
for the House seat.
He's committed running for the U.S. Senate.
Right, but I'm saying for that, but he's not So
You have to do one or the other.
Oh, it's winning. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So, because this is going to coincide.
So
with
he has. I didn't realize Mark Wayne had definitely. I thought he was still.
Yeah, he was really the first.
Oh, okay.
Or one of the first. But now, so we're seeing the jockeying for that vacated seat. If Hearn decides to go for that U.S. Senate seat, you're going to have a whole bunch of jockeying here in Tulsa. And there's a number of names.
But Hearn's in the 1st district, isn't he?
1st district, right. If he gets in to that race for U.S. Senate, Inhofe's old seat,
Right.
you're going to have, and I'll just throw a few names out at you. You're going to have Vic Regalado, Tulsa County Sheriff. You're going to have maybe Gary Stanislavski, former state senator, who I like. He's a friend. Dan Newberry is considered another one. And Dan and Gary actually been pretty good friends all through the Senate. Andy Coleman might. I think he's from Owasso, which keeps him in. I thought for a while I thought he was Bartlesville, which kind of got moved off into another district. But those are just some of the names. Maybe Tim Harris gives it another shot. And really, other people are saying if Hearn gets into that Senate seat, Nathan Dahm needs to jump again back to congressional.
I have another name to throw out there for you.
Yeah.
One. Eddie Huff.
There you go. You heard it here, folks.
I want to spread that.
Okay, that's a rumor.
A rumor.
Because we don't know if it's vacant yet. Right now, you'd support Kevin Hearn for another term, right?
I never supported Kevin Hearn for
you
for
did.
any of them. No, but I mean, Kevin is one of these like the Hippocratic Oath. Mm-hmm. Do no harm.
Right.
He's kind of that kind of. He's a Hippocratic candidate. Do no harm. He's done no harm.
I tell you what, he has amazed me. He's so much better than I expected. So much better.
See, I don't know. I cannot really point to anything that he's done or has not done. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. He, unlike Bridenstine.
I got one
Bridenstine
this week. This week.
Okay.
The big omnibus spending bill that just passed.
Right.
Everybody in the state delegation voted for it except Hearn.
Okay. Well, there you go. Ching, ting.
Okay. He is now head of the Republican working group.
You need to get him in here. We need to talk. I want to meet him. I want to talk to him. I've never talked to him, never heard from him.
Let's do it.
I don't know anything about him.
Let's do it. Kevin, we want you. I like you. Let's convince Eddie you're a good guy. So
no, I believe he's a good. I'm not saying he's not a good guy. I just don't know anything about him. Don't know. That's what I'm saying. He's like unknown to me. I don't know much about it, other than he owned a bunch of McDonald's.
Last summer, Trump invited him in for meetings because he was named head of the budget committee for the Republican working group. And he, all last spring and into last summer, he was working on this budget proposal to get us back to a balanced budget. When they presented it, his predecessor said, "This is far better than anything I ever did." And that's when Trump said, "Come on in. We need to talk about this. We need to make this a campaign issue for the midterms about balancing our budget again. Fiscal responsibility here." And that's where Kevin, and I talked to Kevin about it, he thinks there's a good chance he will play a central role in the nationalizing of our midterm elections. I hope he does. I hope they do what Newt Gingrich did with Contract with America.
He does?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Excuse me. I'm not a bot. So,
no, it sounds good. No, seriously, I'm glad.
The downside, Kevin self-committed to term limits, that this would be his last term. So 2 years from now, he's got nothing. That's why some people are saying, now that the seat is open in the Senate, go for it.
Yeah.
You know? So I would tell you this. Right now, if Kevin was in, I would be voting for him in that race. You know, and that's a lot for me to make that kind of commitment this early. So anyway, that's the deal on the elections. Rumor is there's going to be a significant opponent to Governor Stitt who's not going to announce until right about filing time. That's the rumor. The other thing, Frank Lucas, CD3, been there forever, since last century. And he's going to get he's got one opponent, he's going to have another one.
I want to talk about that Stitt race. I personally think that Governor Stitt has done a great job. I think he's a great job. I'm totally for him. I'm behind him. I don't care what name you bring up, significant or otherwise. I think he needs to be reelected. He's kind of like Trump, got a lot of people against him, even within his own party. Mm-hmm. You may have seen these commercials. I've seen. Have you seen them on Newsmax, on Fox?
Yeah. Dark Money Group.
Dark Money Group. The guy behind that, I looked up, is Trevor. Is it Sampson? Trevor?
You talking about Trevor Worthen?
Trevor Worthen. That's him. He's the guy behind it.
Is that right?
I looked it up and found out that, that's...
Let me tell you things. Trevor...
Tell our audience.
Yeah, Trevor used to be a partner with Fount Holland, with AH Strategies.
Right.
They're the ones who took Democrat operatives' money and ran Joy Hoffmeister against our incumbent Republican, Janet Barisi, for education. Now Joy has come out of the closet as a Democrat, right? Trevor is running some of the candidates. Trevor's actually, I think, going to be running T.W. Shannon's race. See that's two marks against T.W. right there. Right.
If he's got Trevor right there,
right.
The guy is dirt to me. Okay. I mean, Trevor is bad news. From the beginning, I didn't like the guy. I still don't, and I'm sorry, Trevor. If you see this, give me a call. I don't like you, man.
Right. Now, AH Strategies, which is Trevor and in Fount Holland. Before Trevor, it actually was Carl Algren, who ran Mark Wayne Mullins' campaign.
Carl's okay. He's a little he's not slimy. Okay.
Well, Trevor split with Fount Holland when those indictments came out and all that, because even though legally they got out of it, politically it made Fount Holland damaged goods. So Trevor had handled Gentner Drummond's campaign last cycle, 4 years ago, actually. And, I know Trevor. I mean, I don't know him really well, but we've talked some. He said he was out of politics, but I think he just really clicks with TW and really is passionate about TW, and he wants to. But that's going to put him against Fount Holland, because you got Fount Holland running Mark Wayne, Trevor running TW. Now all of a sudden, Trevor's going to be fighting against his former partner, Fount Holland. So that's what's going on there.
Yeah, well, this politics. Dark Money Group is who is running these ads against the governor, and these are the slimiest ads.
They're absolutely slimy.
They're bad. They're basically lying. Just bad ads, okay, and they're just despicable, as I like to say. They're just not good ads, and they actually make me very angry. Listen, Governor Stitt's not a perfect guy, okay? I mean, nobody's perfect. Trump wasn't perfect, but he was the right guy. He was the best guy. I think Governor Stitt, like Kristi Noem of South Dakota, I think are two of the best governors in our nation, along with Ron DeSantis in Florida. There's a handful of them that are just awesome people doing the best for their state. So we don't need supposed conservatives running against conservative people, okay? We don't need that. And that's what we've got with this. So, but anyway, I knew you would know who it is. But if you wondered, that's who's actually behind these ads against the government.
Well connected to money people. And so
we don't know who the money's coming, but I guarantee you the money's coming from Democrats. And when you said that he was the one behind our illustrious former, or maybe she's still the Secretary of Education, who's now becoming a Democrat to run against the governor, that tells you something. He's probably still behind Hoffmeister, but he's trying to say he's a conservative running against. I bet you that's what it is. It's a trick to get Hoffmeister elected over the governor.
Personally, I think the strategy originally was TW to run against Governor Stitt. But when the opportunity for U.S. Senate came up, I think TW bailed, so I'm going for that.
That's probably true.
But I think there is going to be another candidate. At least a good friend of yours and mine, Darren Gantz, told me last night. He said,
somebody's running
look for another name. Darren doesn't know who it is. Or at least he says he doesn't know. Right. But those things are going on. So sit down, buckle in. It's going to be a big year in Oklahoma. This is going to be something else.
All right.
So.
All right. Well, we better wrap it up, my friend.
All righty.
Wow. It's been a good show.
Oh, got one more quick thing.
Quick.
Movie's coming. Sylvester Stallone's doing a movie in Tulsa about a former mob king starting over at organized crime in Tulsa called the Tulsa King.
Really?
Yeah. And they're looking for actors, supporting actors. Eddie?
Was he black?
No. No, they want cowboys especially.
Supporting. Cowboys.
Yeah.
But darn it.
All righty.
Hey, guys, God bless you, everybody. Have a very good day, and we'll see you next week.